So no, Kawhi Leonard is apparently a problem for his teammates. Max, do you think money is the motivation for Kawhi continuing to sit out?
Of course. I mean, look, let's just take the two possibilities here. Start one. He really is experiencing pain. You know, everyone, just because Tony Parker had a similar injury and came back on a different timetable, doesn't mean Kawhi Leonard's going to respond the exact same way. But people's bodies aren't exactly the same. They don't respond to injury the same or even pain the same way. And so if Kawhi Leonard has $200 million potential dollars on the table, should he rush back because of what? Peer pressure? Because that's what it is. A bunch of people in the room telling you, come on, you need to do this, you need to do this. And he's saying, I'm responding to what my body's telling me. No, I don't need to do that. But why in the long run? If he could help them this year, wouldn't he? Because he has his own life and future and career to think about. So absolutely, he'd be a fool for money not to inform that decision. And then, of course, and by the way, the idea that he's not tough enough or disciplined enough or not enough, a good enough teammate, do you understand? The reason I think he's the second best player in the NBA, the best, human player, because LeBron's like superhuman in the NBA, is because of the fact, the level at which he plays two ways. He plays on the offensive side, but he takes the toughest defensive assignment every single night and plays that guy as well as defense can be played. That takes not just, he's built like a defender. Lots of guys are built like a defender. It takes an incredible amount of toughness and mental discipline to make yourself do that all the time on every possession. I wouldn't question Kawhi Leonard's toughness or his sense of being a good teammate or anything like that. So I would look at the injury and how he's responding to it and the fact that he even has to stand up to his teammates, which must be very difficult, to protect his future. And by the way, if you are his teammates, I understand the culture of the Spurs is very important, and that win-now mentality is what kept them going, and I wouldn't question Popovich's, the culture and the tone that he sets. However, what are they really asking him to do, like risk, and for what gain? Risk your future and $200 million and the rest of your career in order for us to be a tough out in the first round, where they're going to get bounced, but they'll be a tough out. They'll go 6 games, maybe, something like that with Kawhi. It doesn't make sense. So is it about the money for Kawhi? I think you're damn right it is, and I think it's smart of him.
I think you're looking at it all wrong. Even though your conclusion is not off, you're still looking at it all wrong. The fact of the matter is, if you're the San Antonio Spurs and Kawhi Leonard is on the court, you don't think you're going to be one and done, that you're going to be out in the first round. You believe that you're going to challenge for a championship. You have to remember that Kawhi Leonard was having an MVP caliber season last year. He goes down once he gets low-bridged by Jaja Pachulia in the postseason, and Popovich went ballistic because he's talking about, we're up 23 at the time. And you know what? This is supposed to be the best team in the NBA. We think we've got a shot. Well, fast forward to this year. LaMarcus Aldridge has come into the light. He's having an all-star caliber type season. He's averaging 22.7 a game. He's shooting better than 50% from the field. He's been incredibly formidable. So if you look at LaMarcus Aldridge doing what he did, and you're the rest of the San Antonio Spurs, your thinking is, if we have Kawhi Leonard and he can go for us, we can do some damage in these playoffs. So all this noise that they're making about the Houston Rockets, we think we'd have something for them, just like we had something for them last year, which brings us to the situation involving Kawhi. When they're looking at Kawhi right now, I think the part that you're missing most, Max, is that even though it's obvious that it's about him protecting himself and his future from a monetary perspective, you got guys, obviously, inside that Spurs locker room who have some questions as to the legitimacy of it. There's no reason to have a team meeting, a players-only meeting with Kawhi Leonard unless there are individuals inside that locker room who are questioning the legitimacy of his injury at this particular juncture. It's not to say he was never injured, but watching him practice in 3-on-3s and 4-on-4s, which is what they said has taken place. If you surmise, based on being a basketball player and a teammate and witnessing and going up against him in practice and watching him perform, if you surmise that he's ready to go, and Greg Popovich is saying we have to be cleared, his medical people have to clear him first, then we could move forward. But the team had already indicated that in their eyes, he was ready to go, but he has to get cleared by his own medical people. If you're the players, somebody inside that locker room was looking at him with a raised eyebrow, questioning
But
the
they're not
legitimacy of it,
Max,
and that's what's going on.
Hold on. I want to
Max.
respond to that, Will. I want to respond to that. But they're not inside his body, number one. They don't know
course not,
what
Max.
it is. That's number one. Number two is, let's take the case that, in fact, they're right, that they have legitimate concerns because his uncle's steering the ship and he wants Kawhi out of San Antonio because partly his sneaker deal is way under what it should be for a guy of Kawahi Leonard's ability. And listen, he's a finals MVP. He's a champion. By all lights, he's a top 5 player. By mine, he's a top 2 player when healthy in the NBA. Even that would be he's concerned about his money, or someone in his camp is, because he's underpaid as a San Antonio Spur, whether because it's, not even about the contract, because of the platform he has to kind of broadcast his brand. Now, I would argue that in many respects, Kawahi Leonard is like the Tom Brady of the NBA in the sense that as great as he is, he benefits, he's better than he would have been because he has the best coach.
Max,
the way I feel
it's
about
like
Tom Brady. So it would be a mistake for Kawhi to leave. But maybe that's not the way he sees it or his camp sees it right now.
Max, you talk about his teammates not being inside of his body, but with all due respect, neither are you. And you're kind of taking Kawhi's side against the entire weight of evidence. On the injury front, and I think we all agree, it doesn't really sound like it's an injury. You've got the organization, the medical staff, the coach, and the teammates who all seem to think Kawhi's ready to play. On the money side, I had Ryan Hollins on the Will Kane show yesterday. He said, guys have learned a lesson from Isaiah Thomas. He's got 200 million reasons this summer not to get back on the court. But his teammates don't read it that way, Max. So it seems to me your debate, Kawhi's debate, is with the Spurs, with his teammates. Because right now it looks like he's quitting on his team.